Okay. So in this session, we'll see about CX Picker for dynamic choice lists. Okay. So we will see activating sandbox to workspace. So and then we'll do the changes for creating DCL in sandbox, and then we'll apply that sandbox to workspace without publishing, and then we will work with the same sandbox uh, for CX Picker template, and then we'll see the changes, what we can do with CX Picker and how it helps. So now coming to this CX Picker. So uh, in standard UI, in simplified UI, right? So we have dynamic choice lists where we can point other object, right, to display other object values. Example, in account, in contact. So account is a DCL, so which points to account object, right? So here we, it is different than other fields, right? So by default, if we create a standard, if we create any DCL, so system gives some a list of values, but it doesn't give much features to search or to the view and all. So it doesn't give automatically. So for that reason, we need to apply this CX Picker template. So here CX Picker template is a fragment. So it's a reusable component. So we can apply this template or fragment for any DCL or for any DCL. So with this, users can search uh, not only on one field, so uh, on multiple fields. So in SUI, also we can search, but we need to go into separate search page, and there we can add the fields, and then we can search based on that field. But here, just on the UI, uh, on the uh, on the field, right, or that DCL field itself, the text area. So there itself, you can enter the keyword, and the related records will appear in the list. Example, if you are searching for a contact, you can just search by email. You don't need to search with only name. You can search by phone number. You can search by country. You can search by address, like this. And this CX Picker supports saved searches also, adaptive saved searches that we created in Workspace, or whatever is available in the landing page for that uh, object. So that will also appear. So you can enable default saved search or the last saved search, so that will appear in the picker. So now we will configure this in the environment. Now let me go to the environment, and this is in this sandbox we are going to configure a DCL. So we will go to the contact object, and go to fields. So here we are creating a new custom field of type DCL. So I'll call this field secondary account. So I'll point out, I'll take a object as account, and display name will be the name of this account. So here, if we apply the data filter, so uh, either using simplified filter or advanced filter, so the records will be filtered at this field level itself. So even if you don't have any filter in Visual Builder Studio, so it will take precedence first. Okay. So this filter will work in Visual Builder as well, or anywhere basically. Because it's a server level, right? So it will apply across the applications. So now we created a dynamic choice list uh, for contact object, and now our changes are still in sandbox. So now what we will do is we will go to the Visual Builder, and we will create we will configure this DCL by activating the sandbox. I'll go to the project and I'll create a new workspace. So now if you notice, the sandbox is automatically selected because it's currently active in this login. So it is automatically selected. So if you want to deassociate, you can choose none, or you can just remove here so that no sandbox will be applied. No, or no, select this no sandbox selected. So it will take the data model from the main line. But if you select sandbox, so all the metadata changes, right? Whatever we have in this sandbox will apply to this workspace. Now we will create. Okay. So you can see sandbox here, it is activated, and now we will go for the contact layout. So we will add this field in contact page. So now let me come to from contact details page, so that whenever we do a preview, so we can just use a single preview button. So it reduces some additional steps. So here we will add, after the account, we'll add the secondary account. Now we can close this, select. Okay, it automatically selected the latest uh, workspace. So now we will edit uh, this page. We'll go to edit layout, and then we'll add this newly created DCL field. By the time, so if we look at the standard or whatever available pickers, so this is how the picker looks, or DCL works in Visual Builder. So you will have this search option, so where you can search, basically, suppose you want to search by uh, primary contacts, so you can type in that, and then it suggests that, and it supports the saved searches that are available for this object. And you can create a account, a new account, new record, so from here itself. Okay. So now we will add the new field that we created, secondary account ID. So whenever we create a new DCL, right, so, or any DCL, so we will have two fields. One is ID underscore C and underscore C. So this holds the display name of the record, and this holds the ID of that record. So for configuring picker, right, so we will use this ID field. So we will add this ID field under account party ID. Mhm. So now we will preview this change, and we will see how a plain DCL field will look like, and then we'll configure a template for it. So this is our secondary account, and this is the, maybe the standard primary account, right? You can notice this table is not available, where we can see only the display values of this account, and we can search only this. You can also search here. It will still work, but it doesn't give the search based on other fields. And also you don't have any actions or to create a new field, so it doesn't provide all those things. Just give a plain list of values, whatever So this is the standard behavior. So now we will override this behavior. So for that, we will use template. So just highlight on the field and go to template, create a new template. Okay. So here, suppose you want same behavior as the account template, right? So you can select any one of the existing uh, template. So here you have already account picker template. You can select. You can select, and whatever uh, whatever the changes, right? So in this template, so that will apply. So for now, we will create our own template so that we will have flexibility to modify a base for specifically for secondary account. But if you want same like this account picker, so you can just select the existing picker if it is available. So now I'll create a new template. So I'll create a template. Now it took us to the template editor. We'll switch to code mode. So by default, it just given the input text, right? So we will modify this. If you go to components and search for CX, so you will get some predefined fragments. So these are something the reusable components, right? So you will search for the picker, CX picker, and just drag and drop here. You can remove this. No need this. So now, so this is the CX picker. So you need to configure this picker by highlighting on this fragment. So if you just highlight on this OJVB fragment, right? So you can see the relevant parameters for this picker. So this is a these are all the different parameters that it allows. So you will need to provide some required parameters and also some additional parameters whatever if needed, but some are required that are nothing but the resource, and so that is a a required field, and uh, and you can apply some field properties also like required, read only. So these properties you can provide. Okay. So where you can exactly find more details about this fragment parameters is so we have one document. So here we can see all the parameters that are available for uh, CX picker fragment. So dynamic layout context. So this is by default, this is the context, dynamic layout context. And picker layout ID. So I'll come to this, but this is a layout uh, to display this fields, name, address, primary contact. So these fields we are showing, right? So if you want to add one more field, so you will go to that layout and then you will add that layout. And that layout ID you will need to specify here which layout you are applying. Under resource, this parameter takes the object name and display field name and then endpoint and then primary key. So if you are working for a different object, you just need to replace object name and the display name for that DCL and then primary key of that field. So usually the primary key will be the IDs, primary party ID or opti ID, lead ID. For custom object ID, it is just ID. So these are primary keys. So these are the required field. If you don't provide anything for this picker layout, but by default it picks this picker layout name. And some optional parameters or additional parameters is context. So this allows like if you want to enable plain text, so user can enter some text value into that. So instead of selecting existing value, so user can just uh, enter. And create config. So this allows user to create a record, or if you don't want to allow creating a new record from the picker, so you can choose this enabled as false, so that the create action from here, right? The create action from this one, create account, this will be disabled. Is default search enabled? So this default search we will enable at account, right? For this object, so that will apply by default if you enable this. And then label name. So by default it takes the application composer display name, right? So if you want to override this secondary account with some other name, then you can use label name. Picker name field. So this is this is not uh, required if you are using this query parameters, but this is a field usually we will pass the ID of this field, secondary account underscore ID underscore C. So that way we can pass here. So query is used to define a filter for this picker. Suppose you don't want all the accounts, but you need only with some filter, right? Suppose only you have a customer and um, uh, you have a customer type, right? Customer and prospect. So if you want to display only prospect accounts or only customer accounts, so this kind of filter will help for that. So this is an operator. Will give some filter and then we'll see. Read only, required, selected row, then sort criteria. So this is to sort the list of values that we will see in the search. This is to store the current selected record. Okay, so these are the different parameters that supports CX Picker. Now we will go to here and we will add the parameters. So if you highlight on anything, right? So the structure will be like this. Let me show. So for any fragment, right? So this is how it looks like. So it will have a fragment, OJVB fragment, and bridge. So this is, and then name of that fragment. So this is the name of the fragment, CX Picker. Okay, after this, we will have the, and this is a starting tag, right? And this is an ending tag. So in between, we need to provide the parameters. This is OJVB fragment param. So this takes a parameter name and parameter value. So here you can define all the parameters. Suppose if you highlight on this and if you give some value here, I'm just giving something like this test. Now you see a new parameter tag added and with that label. with that parameter name and the value. So you can work with a code, or you can provide the value from this uh, parameters. So that will reflect immediately. Okay. Now, as a simple right, so we need to provide the resource details. So that is nothing but just you can provide this resource value, and then extension ID. So here extension ID, right? So this is the, here there is an importance. So we in earlier while setting the workspace, right? So we use it site underscore cx sales underscore extension. So in some components, so this will be hard coded, the extension ID. So that is why we need to use the same ID, because it is referring in some of the components. So to use that component, so we need to uh, hard code this. So otherwise, we need to check all the components wherever this other value we have given, or wherever this value is given. So we need to replace with the correct extension ID. So to avoid that steps, so we can default always with this extension ID. So now I'll take this two lines. So these are the required parameters. So dynamic context is already there, but anyway, I'll replace. So now if you hover on any fragment, it also suggests here, right? So the list of parameters that are available here. So these are all the different parameters that are available for the picker fragment. So you can just provide this resource, and then the format to provide this resource value should be this. So square bracket, double square bracket, and then an array. Uh, so uh, which gives the parameters inside this. What is the name of uh, what 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 is the name of the object, and display field, primary key, endpoint. So this endpoint is so it will refer the standard endpoint from here. So if you go to connections and CXLs, so here it refers this uh, endpoint. So like this, we will provide the required parameters. So uh, it shows some error, right? It shows in a red color. So this extension ID parameter is not required. We'll apply only these dynamic context and resource. Now we will preview this. Okay, now you could see uh, it changed it, right? So it took the template, and it also suggests all the different searches, saved searches, right? It changed it. Now we will see some other properties for this. A filter. Okay. So a query filter will help to filter this records. So here you have the operator, and this is the operator value, and then attribute uh, for which field we need to filter organization name and that organization value. Okay. So this is how we need to construct a filter. So if you have additional attributes, okay, so you can use comma here, and then you can apply a different filter. The example is like this. This is field 1 filter, comma, field 2. So it will be end. It is not an or. It will be end. So if you have any child objects, right? Suppose address, based on address you want to filter, or any other collection. So you can refer the collection, the rest endpoint name dot the field. Now we will apply this filter where it shows the organization name contains. So this is a operator for contains. So with the value of ABC. Now I'll preview it. So now it should not show all the records, but it should show only the records uh, which contains ABC. So sometimes if first time it shows this message, but I think this is some bug. But if you click next time, it suggests the same values. Now you can see only the names this contains ABC are coming in this list. So this is how the filter works. Now other properties, example label. So if you want to change the label name, if you don't want to refer the application composer display name, so then you can give that label name here. So one thing here is, so if you select, so by default something here, no problem. So it automatically syncs. Yeah, the slash will come if you select from here. So if it doesn't work, you can just remove this slash. Otherwise, also fine. So, uh, so that error will show here itself. Now I just selected a value, right, and it shows a red mark, red mark here. So that's why you need to remove this slash. So this config parameter. Okay, so this is different. Label we need to give, right, and then create config. So this will disable the, if enabled equal to false, this will disable the create action. Okay. Now, what is our field? Yeah, you can see the display name is changed to contact accounts, and also there is no more action, and you don't find this create action here. And it also removed the save it section. So similarly, you can apply required read only and default save it search is true, so that the default save it search will be applied whatever we configured for account object. So this is how the CX picker will work. So here we have seen the layout, right? Also, if you observe one parameter which says the picker layout ID. So here the default will be picker layout, which is a standard layout for the for any object. So for that, you can go to the rule sets, and here you can see one layout in called in dynamic tables. You can see a picker layout. So this picker is for contact object. Okay, but our field is DCL field is for account, right? So we need to go to the accounts. So we need to go to accounts, and here we have account picker. So go to dynamic tables, picker layout, can duplicate it. So by default, it has organization name, formatted address, primary contact name. So in addition to that, if you want to display some additional fields like maybe country, city, then country. So now I had added these two fields, and now if I preview, you made changes to edit layout, right? Oh, in template. Anyway, I'll preview. Let it load. Okay. So click again. Now you could see the additional fields are appearing, and if there are more fields, you can scroll here. Okay, so country and city added. And suppose you have a different layout altogether for this template. So you can go to here and you can create a new rule set of type dynamic table, and then okay, you can copy, you can create a new dynamic table, and then you can provide the layout ID. So you define the layout ID, right? So this layout ID you will use in this curve. So the new layout ID of that form, dynamic form, so you will be using here. So there is one property, right? Picker template or picker layout ID. So here you will replace with this standard layout, so that uh, it applies only for this page or only for this template.